Hey everybody, this is Chris Murphy with the Fort Collins Fellows podcast, and with me is my amazing co-host, Patrick Soukup.
Absolutely. Yes, the Fort Collins Fellows podcast is going to bring you information across all spectrums about everything there is to know about Northern Colorado and Fort Collins. We talk to mayors, CEOs, decision makers, and citizens and residents of the community who are really grooming the Fort Collins area and Northern Colorado area now and into the future. So it's an educational style podcast that if you are looking at making a decision potentially to move your family here or maybe to where to move within the community, this information might help you make some of those decisions. We are grateful for you to listen and we really hope you enjoy.
Penny Stires. First of all, congratulations. I know you were kind of the, what did they call you? The
interim
principal at Fort Collins High School. And now you got the job officially. So we have, today with us, Penny Stires. I'm a fellow Fort Collins High School grad, class of 99. That's how old I am. Patrick, you're a Lampkin as well. So this is really cool. But no, Penny, welcome to Fort Collins Fellows. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, why don't you just, I know a little bit of background on you, obviously. Bolt, I'm also a Lightning as well, or Phoenix.
Phoenix, I was like, what are you doing?
Lightning, what am I doing? What is Lightning? The Phoenix, Lincoln Middle School as well, from Ohio, but just tell our listeners and viewers just a little background of how you got into the educational field and eventually a principal at a major high school here in Fort Collins.
Well, a little background. I was born and raised in a little rural community, London, Ohio. My parents were both factory workers. My dad he was a welder, he built rolled rollers, and my mom made refrigerator parts, and they did that their whole entire career. There are five of us, five siblings, and I am a first generation college graduate. So, it's quite a journey. It certainly changed the trajectory of my life, being able to go to college. And I, have tried to remember the privilege that I've been given. And I think about that all the time. So I went into teaching, graduated from The Ohio State University.
Oh my gosh, we got a Buckeye. Yes,
I am a Buckeye through and through. I taught special education for lots of years, specifically working with kids who have severe behavior disabilities. Worked in the state prison system for a while, working with inmates who were served in public schools on an IEP, and then transitioned into leadership. So I've been an assistant principal and now a principal for lots of years. We've been in Fort Collins for 13 years, and this is year 32 for me in public education. I still get up every morning just looking forward to coming into work and loving what I do. And I hope that I have lots more years feeling that way. So we have two kids, grown kids, two girls, and 30 and 27. And we have two grandsons who are 5 and 3. Today is my 31st wedding anniversary. So been married lots of years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, we love Fort Collins. We're settled in here. And that journey has led me to Fort Collins High School, which I feel super grateful for the opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, I know Fort Collins is a community that's grateful to have all of their teachers, and we're both gone up through the public school system, and Lincoln and Bolts and Fort Collins High School, they've all been around for a really long time. I think I just recently read an article from the Colorado that said like the last public school that was closed was like 10 years ago. And so it's just a really great school system with a good growth community. Now, we kind of talked about with this channel, it's a major resource for people moving from all over the country. And a lot of them are families. Fort Collins is a really family oriented place, however that is composed, but they've got all kids that are considering, you have a grandchildren, 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And one of the things that parents have to start considering is where the kids are going to go to school, what type of education, public, private. And a lot of the conversations we have is through Fort Collins, there is private school options, there's Montessori schools, there's all that kind of stuff, but public schools is a great option, very safe, very, well-maintained, clean. You can feel good putting your kids through there, but that's definitely a big question for a lot of people is, should they go through public school or private school, and what's the safety like? So what are you kind of seeing as like the atmosphere in a high school right now for like the safety of children?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question, right? Everybody's talking about it. And if you've been in education for any amount of time, we've had the ups and downs of school safety and just experiencing the tragedies and the great joys that have happened in public schools. I would say to you that I'm a believer and a lover of public schools. My own daughter graduated from Fort Collins High School in 2010. I've been in 3 different schools, Bolts, Lincoln, and now here. I can tell you that there is a priority around school safety. In fact, yesterday, a bunch of us were sitting around talking about it again, and just the intentionality of what we're doing to make sure that there's nothing that we haven't uncovered around school safety. So, all the comprehensive high schools here in Fort Collins will be going through the run, hide, fight training. We'll all be having partnerships with Fort Collins Police Department to make sure that we have thought through school safety. And, it's something that as a school leader, we think about every single day. I don't know one of us that doesn't feel that burden and that sense of urgency around it being the number one thing. So I get it. I feel like, I was interviewing somebody yesterday for a job, and he was telling me that he's up for a job at a charter school near the Denver area. And the charter school, if he gets the job, has asked him to be that security person that carries. And,
Wow.
I feel sadness in my heart that we have to go there and we're having those conversations. And I don't want public schools to be that way, And so everything we can do on the front end to just constantly be thinking about safety and making sure we're doing all we can, I think helps. Every high school here in Fort Collins has a comprehensive safety team. We have a CSO, which is what does CSO stand for? Something security officer, campus security officer. So we all have a CSO. Generally, those are like retired police officers or people who have a background in safety and security. And then we all have campus monitors. I have 2 here at Fort Collins High School. And then we all have a resource officer who's employed by Fort Collins Police Department. So that feels good. It feels like there's a system in place, and we meet regularly to talk about safety.
When did some of those systems get put in place? Because I know obviously things are changing. I mean, I remember when Columbine happened. I was a senior at Fort Collins High School.
Oh,
and I can imagine there was nothing like that back in 99 or early 2000s. When were some of these systems put in place? Like, how long ago?
Yeah, I don't know for Fort Collins when they were put in place, but I was teaching when Columbine happened. You said it was 90?
90, I want to say I graduated in 99, so I think Columbine was like 99, 98.
99.
Something like that.
Yeah, so I was teaching it in the classroom, and I, as a teacher in 99 back in Ohio, we had tornado drills and we had fire drills, and
Yep.
That was really it. And about the time I started transitioning into leadership, and certainly by the time I got out here in 2010, boy, they're different. We have to do lockdown drills. We have to do evacuation drills. So I don't know the exact year, but Columbine changed the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
It just rocked public education. And, now it's not all that uncommon to see something in the news around a breach of safety or a shooting. It's like, it used to feel shocking. And now, it doesn't have the same shock factor, sadly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to turn this into a whole gun debate, but it is really interesting. I mean, I'll say, right, I don't think we should be arming our teachers, but I'll leave it at that.
Me either. Amen.
So, and I have no problem with guns. I have plenty of friends that hunt and everything like that. So anyways, I won't get into that, but no, and it's great to hear that, I have my first child is coming this December. Patrick's got 3 kids. And so, it's unfortunate. It's like the first thing I wrote down on my notes is like safety, when I send my boy to school here over the next, many years, that's top of mind. But,
Right.
It's great to hear that you're having these conversations, that the police department's involved, and even like retired, whether it's retired police officers are coming back to help out. That I like that. I like to hear that.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned, like, the burden that you all have to carry, with having those conversations. It's a great word, because we just don't understand all of the dynamics that you as teachers and administrators have to go through at through the public schools. And growing up and going through high school, I just don't remember having any of those like fears or worries or conversations. And I wasn't too long after Chris, maybe a few years. But and then kind of parlaying that into one of my next questions would be a lot of bullying and things of that nature, maybe not on that level of security, but still just as impactful to kids' lives and the mental health of kids is this social media thing that, yeah, you might be acting on your best behavior, smile, but behind, what would that be? IP addresses. There's some unfortunate things that go on. And do you see that, whether that might be from some of your previous experiences at Lincoln and at Bolts? Because middle school is a tough age for a lot of kids. High school, maybe you start to get into a little bit more of your groove, but middle school is definitely tough. And I think that's one of the conversations they have as well. Is like, and I can't answer that. I'm like, I didn't experience it, but I also didn't go through school with all the technology that kids are going through that are, some, tough times for some of those kids.
Conflict is it's inevitable. It's going to happen. The key is, in my opinion, is that kids, no matter how old they are, young adults to adolescents, they need to have a space to be able to work through those things. But there's a difference, right, between a conflict and then something that's just ongoing, that's creating such stress for a person that it becomes harassment or bullying. So those are two different things. And over time, social media has just changed that game, because kids can hide behind the screen, and even some adults get involved in it. And they can say and do things that they wouldn't normally do, or they certainly wouldn't say if they were face to face with another kiddo. And so it has really just occupied a lot of our time. And it's stuff that none of us really want to be working on. But when it impedes learning and it gets in the way of all the good stuff that we need to get done in public schools, we have to address it. So it's real. We have to deal with it on a regular basis. I would say, if I were talking to parents, and I tell them all the time, don't wait to call and ask for help. If there's something going on that's making your kid not want to come to school or feel unhappy or impacts their mental health, tell us so that we can begin working on it. And I think it is big work, but every high school here in town has a comprehensive counseling center. I have 6 counselors, and we have a mental health worker, and we have a psychologist, and we can work through those things. I think the feel and the vibe in the nation right now, no matter where you are, we've lost a little bit of grit around, in my opinion, around working through problems and conflict. We get angry, we yell, that's it. I can't do it anymore. We've just lost our grit on being able to have a face-to-face with another person and just work through conflict. So, all the restorative practices that we're learning about and that we're trying to implement in schools, it's helpful. But we know that it is work that we have to do with kids.
I got my first cell phone in college. What is it, like, kids in high school, middle school have cell phones now? Like, they're not allowed to bring those to class? What is the rule on that?
So at the middle level, and I can only speak to, my 7 years at Lincoln, the cell phones needed to be put away in your locker and on silent, so that during school hours, and then you could get those out.
I can only imagine how musical.
I mean, can you imagine? That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm like, no way. Like, this is.
Exactly. And, I've only been at high school for a semester, but I can tell you that is not the case at the high school. All the kids have cell phones and they're on them. And so it is an issue that is just ongoing. All of my colleagues are talking about it, the impact that it's having on classroom instruction and learning. And it is on our list of things to talk about when teachers come back for PD this year. Cell phones are, man, what a challenge.
I would imagine that you wouldn't want them. Like, hey, you got to leave these in your lockers or silence them. And I mean, I can only imagine what it's like right now. Oh my gosh.
Well, it would be easier, but kids are so smart and they're using them for a resource. They're Googling things, they're researching what's going on in class. They truly are. I'll just give you one example. I was observing we were in a gaming classroom at the end of the semester. It was super cool. The kids were using Minecraft to make these colonies, Mars colonies, and they had to take all the things they learned about space and use it to create this colony. And I looked over at this kid and he was just like in it on his phone over there. I went up to him and I'm like, hey, dude, you're right in the middle of a lesson here. You might want to pay attention and put it away. And he goes, no, miss, it's a tutorial on how I can build so-and-so in this colony on Minecraft. And I'm just trying to learn how to.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I thought, wow.
Well, that's something that is interesting right now, and kind of will pop maybe into curriculum next, but is one of the things that is so important. I was talking to a buddy of mine, is it's not necessarily maybe what it's what can you find out, and how well of a researcher are you, and able to kind of parlay your knowledge and information to go find that information. So maybe not necessarily store it all in the memory bank, but be able to understand where you can go find information to help you solve XYZ problem that's in front of you, which, that student that you were talking to, is using resources at hand to better his understanding of the project that he or she was given.
Right. That's exactly it. And they're so much smarter than we are. At least I'll speak for myself.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I can tell you, man, just being at the high school for a semester, our future is in good hands. Our kids are smart. Our young people really know about technology and how to use their resources.
Definitely.
So this is a great kind of segue. We're talking curriculum. So I'm a lender. So I deal with numbers all day long, and I talk to clients who they got to go over their finances and everything like that. And I am blown away by the lack of financial literacy that is involved like in our society right now, whether it's how credit cards work, how a mortgage. I mean, is Fort Collins High School and Poudre School District, are they teaching like these skills in high school? Is there a class for, I know there's finance and like business schools and stuff like that, but this is something like real world application that people can use. Like like I have one lady, she goes, oh, I don't have any credit cards. I go, well, why is that? She goes, well, because credit's bad. I go, well, some credit's bad. You don't want to have 10 credit cards and everything like that, but you need something. So like Penny, what are schools doing? Are they teaching this? Is Fort Collins High School teaching this in terms of just overall basic finance?
Yeah, we do have a financial literacy class, and it is a required class for graduation. Right. Yeah, and my understanding, and I have limited background knowledge in the high school world, but my understanding and what I've picked up just in having some conversations about what's required and what's not, that is a hard, fast class curriculum that can't be taken off the table. People in our community and in business are pretty strong in their beliefs that needs to stay a requirement.
Good. What about like Lincoln Middle School? Is it in the middle schools or just mainly high school?
No, it's not, to my knowledge. At least at Lincoln and Bolts, we didn't have financial literacy as part of that. And I can tell you, it is one of the courses at the high school that when you're thinking about giving kids access and making it accessible, you have to consider our student population that are Spanish speaking, our kids that have learning disabilities, and our students who just school is hard. Yep. And one of the things last year we talked about around financial literacy is we actually opened up a bilingual, a dual language financial literacy class, just because we learned some of our students just don't have the right access to that to be able to be successful.
That's so interesting you say that, because in the mortgage world, there's I don't know if there's a debate but all the documents you sign, disclosures, it's all in English. I don't have a button to hit like Spanish or something, you know what I'm saying? And it's really hard to get that through, you know, whether it's, you know, DC or government and stuff like that. I'm surprised that I don't have the ability to disclose some of these things in Spanish. It's kind of, I mean, the lending world has got its issues, but
but you know what, Chris, now that you've said that out loud, you know, you're in a position of privilege and power, and you should use your seat at the table and your circle of influence to get that changed.
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah, I don't know how much influence I have, Penny, but I appreciate your confidence in me.
Now, that actually kind of that is wasn't on my notes, but I'm glad that we kind of stumbled across this. Is with folks moving here from really all over the country, Fort Collins is, you know, very predominantly white, strong, you know, 88%, I believe. But what I'm seeing is, you know, whether through marriage, through movement or whatever, there is a good amount of diversity on our younger generation coming up. What are you seeing? I don't know if you have any statistics or numbers or anything like that for Fort Collins or Lincoln or anything like that, but what are you kind of seeing, maybe even just subjectively, you know, anecdotally, of, you know, populations of ethnicity and things of that nature coming up through Fort Collins High School these days?
Yeah, I can just speak from my opinion and my experiences. And I don't have exact data, but I think you're just about right on that Fort Collins is a predominantly white community. When I moved here, actually it was when I took the job at Lincoln. You know, Lincoln is a school on the north end of town, and it is a 50% white, 50% non-white school. And many students and families we serve are either bilingual or all Spanish speaking. The thing that is interesting to me about Fort Collins that I really haven't experienced living somewhere else is that if you are a person of color, or if you live and experience poverty, there are pockets in this city where those people live. And it's shocking to me that that's how this city is organized. And I think that I constantly am reminded as I'm doing home visits and doing work out in the community, which is the work that I really love to do. Many people don't even realize where the communities like this are. 2025, Harmony, 401 North Timberline. We have a trailer park out behind Charcoal Broiler, Air Park, Ramblewood over by Pooter High School. These are big, large communities that need to be served in this city. And it's just interesting to me that it's not more integrated. The city of Fort Collins is not more mixed and integrated. So yeah, I think that it's a hidden piece of our city that sometimes doesn't get exposed. And we have so much wealth and so many resources here. One of the blessings of COVID and one of the good things that came out of that is all those inequities kind of rose to the surface, because when you're working in a school, you're trying to serve everyone, all the kids. So when the resources aren't equal and kids aren't coming into school, they're at home, you got to do something to leverage that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the thoughts that came to my mind.
You know, it's funny. We interviewed Mayor Jenny Arndt, and that'd be interesting to get her take on that.
She's a Lincoln parent.
She's a Lincoln parent.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, she was great. Real quick on the COVID front, one thing I wanted to ask you about was obviously with COVID, you know, at some point, you know, everything went online and the classes were done through Zoom and everything like that. I'm just curious, just real quick, because of that, are there any new classes that are being offered, like as a senior in high school now, where you can do, it's like, hey, you know, we normally didn't have this class available, now it's available, and you do it all online, or you do it virtual with the teacher. Is that a permanent, are there any aspects of how that teaching's changed during COVID that are sticking around? Or
oh my gosh, we really upped our game during COVID, and we learned so many awesome practices that I think will never go away.
Okay. And what are those?
Well, I can tell you that, you know, there's been a shift from paper pencil to, you know, Google Classroom, all kinds of different platforms. such as Pear Deck and different things that kids can use, and we can measure formative growth around learning targets that are online rather than sitting down and doing paper pencil. All of those practices, I think, will stay in place. I haven't really seen any teacher shift completely back to the way we were.
Huh.
And so it kind of forced us to kind of get with it around technology. I don't know about any classes completely being offered, but that just may be my lack of not knowing the secondary piece as well, the high school piece as well yet.
But so when you talk about like paper and pencil, so they're not writing anything down or using paper and pencil anymore. They're using like a tablet. Is that what you're saying?
There's definitely paper pencil things happening. What I'm saying is where we might normally give a quiz with paper pencil, we might be able to do those things now electronic. We also might be able to expose kids to some different learning techniques where a teacher can measure based on how kids are responding to a platform. A teacher can measure formatively, how have I done teaching this objective? 80% of my kids said it was this one. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I totally get it. And like, my brain's running right now. Just collecting that data is so much faster. And like you're going to know what you scored on that quiz instantaneously. You know, it's not.
I don't know
like,
if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That weekend might be ruined.
You know, faster sometimes doesn't mean better, right? I mean, you think about, just try to envision a student who has their headphones in, they're on their computer, and by the way, in their headphones, they're listening to music, but they're on their computer working on a content assignment while checking Snapchat. And I mean, this is the world our kids are living in. And I have to wonder if some of this is the mental health piece that we're seeing, kind of rise to the surface. It's too much sometimes, way too much.
Oh yeah, the dopamine hits at all times. At a touch. The buzz in your pocket, the opening up of Instagram and seeing a notification, the listening to music. Millions of different artists at the touch of your finger to your screen. I mean, it's just, and if you don't get it, what type of temper tantrum are you going to throw, and what type of emotional EQ, what type of EQ do you have as a person, because you're so ingrained in your phone and not having these interactions with humans that you should be to grow that EQ. And it's tough because it's things that right now with I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and basically a baby, a 4-month-old. And it's things that we're, trying to figure out just slowly. Like even with our daughter, earlier in the conversation, you talked about all the resources that Poudre School District offers as far as safety and mental health and bullying and counseling. And just literally yesterday, my wife, who is an occupational therapist, reached out to her other buddy who's an occupational therapist with the Poudre School District and trying to get resources, because our daughter she's very active, and I'm sure, will be diagnosed ADHD, but we're not against, medications or anything like that, but we would like to try to go alternative routes, anything and everything. And there's, I think, an independent education program or something along those lines for, children like that says, hey, this child just needs that extra stimulus. I've seen like the little pedal bikes below kids in the elementary schools, and, heavy blankets and things of that nature. It's just amazing how many tools there are out there that, people need to explore, but you don't know what you don't know. But maybe asking questions and hopefully maybe videos, kind of in interviews like this, help people understand wow, I didn't realize that, my kid who's going into 10th grade could reach out for free and go talk to a counselor who might be able to help them understand and have some grit to have conversations face to face and get over this type of deal. Or kids who might need a little bit of extra attention on their activity levels, that there's programs and there's things that we can do to help, them along, and teachers to understand, hey, you don't just yell, scream, and kick them out. This is how it's best to approach them. So pretty amazing on all of that, but definitely things that we're considering as parents is, how do we navigate all of the tablets and all the different technologies that are at our kids' fingertips. So I can only imagine with high school kids who have only grown up with social media, how that's now changing the landscape for teachers and schools.
That's right. You just encapsulated everything that I've been feeling. When you do a job for a while, you see things kind of come full circle. And I spend a lot of time reflecting on, if you want to stay relevant and you want to remain a great educator, you have to move with the times. And so we have to find a way. We can't just keep doing the same old things that we've been doing, because kids are not living in that world. They really are not. I never used to have conversations with parents in a 504 meeting about alternate seating, a wobble seat, or putting a band on a desk so that they could have that to fidget with their feet. I never had those conversations in 1990, but today we do. Today we do. We know you know more, you do better, and it is the way it is now. So I hear you, and good for you for advocating for your kiddo. And parents should, right? They're our most important asset, our kids.
Well, I honestly, I'm kind of a dumb block. It was my wife who thought that this would be important because we had a daycare incident, and my immediate response was to, Nola, you can't do this. This is this. And Janae's like, okay, she's probably at this point been labeled. So it's up to us to advocate for her and really get that information that really will help us navigate if she was to blame or if there was issues that we could try to avoid. But yeah, I mean, I'm that parent who wouldn't understand to reach out unless I had a smart, intelligent wife like I did.
Oh, you married up.
I married up big time.
I'm in the same boat too, Patrick. I say, my wife's talking about something. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? She's like, this is what's going on. This is the sign of the times. I'm like, I'm an old man sometimes in these conversations.
Yeah.
Hey, Penny, I wanted to kind of shift the conversation just a little bit real quick to teacher pay and compensation. We, Patrick and I have been really lucky to, work on a few deals together, and there are some great teachers that are moving to Fort Collins in Northern Colorado, and we know them personally. Do you have any say in teacher compensation, or how does that, because there's a few jobs out there in this world that I have no problem with them making as much money as possible. Healthcare workers, my pilot, when I'm flying across the country, you can pay him or her as much money as you want so I can land safely. And then teachers who are teaching the next generation. What
Penny,
is the
Penny, Chris's dad was a teacher, correct?
My dad, yes, he was in the teacher union. My dad was in New York City. He taught in one of the roughest school districts in the country. And then he moved to Palo Alto and taught in one of the nicest school districts in the country outside Stanford. My dad taught for 20 years, 25 years. And but he joined the teaching corps out of college, went to Gettysburg College. But yeah, no, so I have, it's in my family. And, what are those conversations like, with you and your staff and people coming here?
Well, I don't have any say. I don't have any say over teacher pay. If I did, it would be different. That's for sure. And, you referenced the union, and teachers union, gets to be at the table when pay is negotiated. There's only so many resources and so much money, right, to go around. Mm-hmm. Education, teaching specifically, is one of the only fields that I can think of where we have to continually go back to school, get more credits, get more time so that we can keep our license going. Yet the pay doesn't really reflect that kind of commitment that we have to the profession. I was reading an article last week where Arizona now has said you don't have to have a teaching license now in Arizona to teach kids. I mean, it just blows my mind.
Scary.
It's a punch in the gut to every teacher who, has worked their hiney off to do great things for kids. And so it's hard. And I think we're all seeing right now that they're not going to put up with it anymore. They're going to go somewhere where they can make more money. They're going to go somewhere where the stress level is a little less. We hired 25 new teachers here at Fort Collins for this school year. That's, it's alarming. And it's not just me, it's all my colleagues as well. So I hope as a nation, we find a way to get this fixed. And it's not going to be me, it's going to be people that come after me. But I still believe it's the most important job in the nation. I believe that with all my heart.
Well,
there was a state or federal thing. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Like when it comes to pay, teacher pay, is that a state or federal decision? It sounds like it's a state by state.
Yeah, and I think there's some local control over that.
I think it's a district by district.
Or district by, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, to your point, I think it's Denmark or Finland that has some of the highest paying salaries for teachers. And it's an extremely competitive field to get into. It's kind of on the level of professional athletes that, they graduate, and that's, it's very difficult, but they have some of the best scores in the world, student scores reflecting that. And so yeah, if to your point, our future is bright and don't get me wrong, like I think you're probably spot on. Our kids are some very, very smart, but they also need those people, those guiding people in their lives for 9 months a year, who are with them a lot longer than a lot of parents are with them, as committed and compensated as hopefully we want people that are impacting our kids' lives every day, 8 hours a day are.
That's right. I just don't know any teachers who get up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, I'm not going to give it my all today.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ride it out. I'm going to go in there. That's not how teachers are wired,
Yeah.
I like that video. I think it was like an Instagram video or something like that. And it was a teacher, substitute teacher, something like that. And he's just walking down the hall, kind of like dejected and, just tired, you can tell. But then, he kind of gets outside the classroom, buttons his shirt up, and he puts a big smile on his face and he goes in. I mean, like, what a cool video of, the people that we're fortunate to impact our lives.
True. I mean, I think if I asked you, tell me the teacher who influenced you the most, you'd have an answer. I have one of those people, also that to this day, she just was critical in really shaping and changing the way that I saw things in the world. So yeah, I'm a lover of public education and teaching.
Penny, as we kind of wrap up this amazing conversation, and we're going to have you back. We could talk for a long time about this stuff. I think it's really important, but you're getting ready to go. You just did your first semester as a high school principal, and you're getting ready to go into your first full year. What are you most excited about? Like, what are you, I mean, we've talked about some of these things that are like, from child safety to teacher pay and everything like that. But what's, people want to hear about that stuff, and we wanted to bring it up with you. But what are you excited about? What are you, like, this next coming school year, your first full year as a high school principal? I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, I am most excited about having some normalcy the entire school year this year. We're ready for it. Our kids need it and deserve it. Our parents want it, and teachers have just mourned the loss of normal school. So I'm most excited about that. And I'm super excited just about, I mentioned earlier, we've got 25 new teachers. I'm excited to build a great culture and climate here at Fort Collins and just keep all those rich traditions in place and connect with kids and really find a way. What is it? What's the passion, the way we can get you hooked into school? Super jazzed about it.
Yeah, we also got to mention, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this at the opening, but you're the first female woman principal at Fort Collins High School.
I am. About 125 years. Can you believe it?
That's amazing. I mean, awesome. That is,
congratulations. That's great.
I read that. I was like, that can't be right, but that's great.
I didn't think it could be right either, but
you got to be pretty excited about when people ask you, what you do, and you're the principal of the Fort Collins Lambkins. I know that's, it's a strong mascot that you've got to represent.
Voted worst well years ago by David Letterman. That was voted the worst mascot. I don't know if you know that, Penny.
I did not know that, but I have.
It's like 30 years ago, I think. Something crazy.
Yeah. I'm just embracing it. And listen,
purple and gold, baby.
That's right. The Fort Collins High School.
Well, speaking about the individual who connected us, Coach Yem, which good buddy, and loved myself some Coach Yem. He's a big Blue fan. You know this, right?
I still like him. Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. His choice is unfortunate, but I still do love Matt Yem. He's good human.
Yes, he is. Some great family too.
Yeah.
Cool. Actually, Penny, my mom is a Bearcat, Cincinnati. So
wow, that's incredible.
yeah.
Very good.
It's like a Division II school, right?
They're not, but anyways, they're not, whatever. They're one of the best basketball programs, I think, in the country.
Okay.
Wow. Anyways,
That's right.
that's for another conversation. But yeah, go Bearcats.
Well, Penny, I really appreciate your time. And again, people that are looking at Fort Collins, we are so blessed to be in such an amazing community and state, and our school systems are awesome, and it's individuals like you who really take it upon yourself to, like you said, cultivate that culture and raise our young children to be great human beings. So thank you for taking on that challenge and spending an hour's time with a couple of weirdos like ourselves. So I appreciate you.
It was my pleasure. It actually made my entire day. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Penny. You're going to be great. I'm so happy and proud that Fort Collins High School and just the Poudre School District has you, as one of the leaders in the community. So no, this has been really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One last question for you.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, I almost forgot. Oof.
Maybe for the kids at home, it won't answer this, but we're a big beer town, a bunch of microbrews. We always ask all of our guests, do you have a favorite local brewery or patio that you'll grab a beer at from time to time?
Hands down, Odell.
All right. You know what? You're the first to just give it out, and I'm with you. Odell patio.
That is kind of one of our first that's strong on the answer.
Yeah, no dilly-dallying around. I love it.
Nope. You just can't beat the patio. If you don't want beer, you can have wine now.
That's right.
Food truck, all in one area.
That's right. Very cool. Well, Odell's it is.
Perfect.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Penny. You have a good rest of your day. And until next time, guys, this is the Fort Collins Fellas.
All right. Take care. Go Lampkin.
Go Lampkins.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.